Hello. So this is a sort of let's say a tutorial slash discovery sort of thing. What you're looking at here is what you see of Palasiel Quest, the game I'm working on. And yesterday I came up with something pretty interesting in terms of audio. But to make it work, you need to use a certain third-party script, which is called Crossfade BGM. It's made by Neon Black. And basically what it allows you to do, it allows you to, so when you use the, what have we got? We've got the play BGM function. So when you use the play BGM function, usually it will stop whatever track it's playing immediately and play the next song. With the crossfade BGM, as in the name, it will crossfade from one BGM to another. And the way it usually does this is that it usually sort of finds the same point in time between the two songs, and it will crossfade around the same time. Which is perfect for some of the things that I like to do. For example, one of the things I like to do is create two versions of a battle theme or a boss theme and make one sound a little more intense than the other. So this sort of thing is mostly going to be geared towards people who are composers, or composing for their own game in RPG Maker VX Ace, or they're composing for someone who is using RPG Maker VX Ace. This is one way to make your music, to implement your music in RPG Maker VX Ace and make it sound a little more interesting. So here's one example.
Piece of cake.
This is an example of the background music fading into another. Our lovely ladies here will do battle on the third. We'll do battle, and on the third or fourth turn, you will hear a change in the music. Weapons at the ready, girls. Whatever. As long as this doesn't take too long. Yeah, some of us have a backstory to work on. Right, so on the third or fourth turn, the music is going to change very slightly.
Nuts! Nuts! Freeze over! Light us a path! Thunder strike! Nest! See ya! Nest! Nuts! Here! Nest! Freeze over!
Have you noticed that the soundtrack has got a little bit more intense? It's got some more instruments, it's got electronic instruments, it's got the electronic bass, it's got a lot more drums inside now. And it kind of crossfaded at the same point as well. So that's one way you could utilize the script. Some of you, if you're fans of my music, you may remember this song, The Burden Spirit. I'm going to use it in this example, but swap out some characters. Ooh. Yeah, that'll do. So what's going to happen is that I am going to crossfade from the instrumental version to the to the vocal version. To do that, I need to cheat a little bit. Use this skill.
No way!
No way!
Strike through!
No way!
Strike through! Strike through!
Ariel, the blessing of water may be on your side, but should any of you find yourselves in that position.
And now you can hear the vocals. The trigger was that when the boss's HP gets below 50%, then the vocal version will kick in. Yeah, that's an interesting way to use it. So let me show you the script itself. It's made by Neon Black, and you can find it on the official sort of RPG Maker forum. Give me one moment. So you can find it on the official forum. So here's a couple of things about it. Basically how it works is that you would specify a switch, and this is the switch ID. So this is the switch that will determine whether or not crossfading is enabled or not. So my switch ID is 50. You see right there, number 50, and I've named it System Crossfade. So when this switch is turned on, then that means that from now on, any changes in the music will be crossfaded. Once it's turned off, then the effect no longer applies. Now, the interesting thing is that playing a music effect, or known as an ME, will disable the crossfade. A music effect is stuff like jingles, and the thing is about jingles and stuff like that, music effects stop whatever background music is playing. Whatever, I think it stops whatever background music or background sound. So this is the stuff like your victory themes. And stuff like that. So when any one of those are played while the switch is on, the switch will sort of automatically turn that switch off and it will disable crossfade. And you cannot use background sounds. Background sounds are the sort of stuff to use in the background, such as like background ambience and stuff like that. You can't use crossfade along with background sounds. And in order to use a crossfade, the music file in question, oh god, how do I turn it off? The music file in question must be in an OGG file or a WAV file. MP3s don't work with the positionings or sample timings or anything like that, so it has to be in an OGG file or WAV file. I would suggest using OGG. They're much more lightweight than WAVs, because WAVs will very much inflate the size of your project. What I discovered, right, is that I was making a piece of music yesterday, and I was making it for a particular part in my game where you have to fight against 3 people. You have a choice of fighting these 3 people, and you can either do it one-on-one. So one person of your party fights one, and then the other person of your party fights another, and you go through 3 matches basically, or you can fight party versus party. So I've made the battle theme, or the boss theme essentially, in such a way that it works coherently as one big song, and that will be used for when you choose to fight party versus party. However, I've also composed the song in such a way in that if you choose 1v1 with each 1v1, then with each fight you will unlock more parts of the song, if that makes sense. So I am going to show you the song right here. This is a song. It's not finished, by the way. Well, it's finished in terms of composition, but it's not been mixed, and there's a couple of more instruments and bells and whistles I need to add to it. But this is essentially it. So you can see I've added markers. You see here I have Moses start. So I have Moses start, which is essentially from there to there. I have Sonali start, which is from there to there, and Jose start, which is from there to there. Moses, Sonali, and Jose are the 3 people you fight in order if you choose to do 1v1 matches. So they all each have their own sort of segments of the song. And the idea is basically that when you first start the first match, it will start from the very beginning, and then for the whole time while you're fighting Moses, the music will only loop from between the selected parts that you see here. So it'll go from there and then loop back right there. And then once you beat Moses, let's say you beat Moses and you're somewhere around here, and you're somewhere around here in the middle of the music, in the middle of Moses's part, but you're in Sonali's battle. What will happen is that the music will continue to play, and then basically what will happen, there will be a check to see if you're in Sonali's part of the fight, and if you are, then the music will continue on into Sonali's stage, right? And then once the music gets here, if you're still in Sonali's fight, it will loop back to this part. And then the same goes on for Jose's part. That was an idea I had in theory while I was composing this, and I had no idea if it would work once I actually implemented it into RPG Maker. Last night I tested it and I was able to actually make it work, which is very exciting. So here's the process basically, and this will also show you how to make looping tracks within RPG Maker for RPG Maker as well. So what you want to do is that you want to make sure you have an audio editing program that allows you to change the sort of display for the time. So you can see here I can change it from decimal time to bars and beats to samples. But the way looping works is that you need to get the sample time. So if I go to Audacity, I have the same file over here, when you go into the metadata, you need to enter two things into the metadata. You need to have a loop start tag and a loop length tag. And the integer you need to enter, the value rather, you need to enter here is the sample time of the track. And to see the sample time, you need to go into your editor and change the time display to samples. And then now you have it here. So basically what I've done is that I've exported three versions of basically the same track, right? But in each version, I have different looping tags. So for one version, I have Moses' looping tags. So his tag would start at 352,800. So I would write 352,800. And then the length is not the end of the loop. So you're not looking at the end, you're looking for the duration of the loop. So we see here, we've got 432,1800. 432,1800, and that's how you enter the looping tags. Once you have this in your metadata, you want to save it as an OGG or an OGG file, and then when you place it into RPG Maker, it should loop the correct way as the same way you have it in your audio editor. So what I did, I made three different versions. So these were the looping integers I had for the Moses loop, the Sonali's loop, Jose's loop, and the whole loop is basically a loop of from the beginning of the song to the end, straight through. So I had the files over here. So Saliban, the track is called Saliban and Entourage. So I've named the 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's just easy to look for in the RPG Maker editor. So 1, 2, and 3 is Moses, Sonali, and Jose's loop, respectively, and then 4 is the whole loop. So that's for the party versus party battle. You can see they're the same sort of size because they are all literally the same track, but because they've got different looping metadata, once they're inside RPG Maker, RPG Maker will read those looping tags and will loop the necessary part based on what you defined in the metadata. So I am probably going to show it in action. But for you to sort of realize what we're doing, I'm going to need to sort of play you each different part. So Moses's part sort of sounds like this. So that's kind of what Moses' part sounds like. Sonali's part sounds a little bit weird, and it's also quite repetitive, but that's the kind of idea. But this is what it sounds like. So that's Sonali's part. So you will never hear that part of the song until you get to Sonali's fight. Then Jose's part sounds like this. But yeah, so we're going to play test this, and I will show you how it all runs. So this is the choice you're given, whether you fight as a team or fight one-on-one duels. So we'll split up and fight one-on-one. Jose's mine. So then this is when Moses' part starts, because he's the one you fight first.
Duel to the death. Get ready. Fight.
So I'll do a little bit of the battle just to show you, you know, where the music sort of loops. I think I'm gonna kill him too soon. So here's the part where it kind of sort of loops back into itself. And there's the loop. So now it's still playing Moses' part, but now we're in Sonali's part too. So what's going to happen is that while it's still playing through Moses' part, the music is going to seep into Sonali's part. So now you've unlocked her part of the song.
Dance and race. Get ready. Fight.
So the music's going to keep going after this part. See, this is a new part now. And now we're in Jose's part, so you won't get to hear Sonali's loop, but it will seep into Jose's bit as well.
Catch the fight! Get ready! Fight!
Thunder strike down!
This is Jose's part, like I mentioned. And that's how I made a 3-part battle theme, which is all really just one song, but composed with the idea of having 3 different looped sections. It's a massively interesting way to make this crossfade script work, along with the fact that you can loop certain pieces of music together. I don't think Neon Black thought this script could be used this way, but definitely just a sort of epiphany I had yesterday while I was composing the track. So this video has gone on quite a bit, but yeah, I did ramble a bit. So let me know if there's anything you need clarification on, or hit me in the comments below. But thanks for watching, take care, and stay awesome.